I just lost my 2 travel partners and now I'm going to alone on this other continent for the next 4 days. What started as a great, relaxing 2-week vacation throughout Europe has turned into a stressful nightmare. I bought my tickets originally with my 2 girlfriends, one of which I was very close to and had been for some years. I'll call her Natalie. The other girl, we'll call her Jenny, had plans to separate from us halfway through the trip, as she had tickets to a concert in another country. Me and Natalie had agreed it was best and safest to stay together for the remainder of the trip. We booked hotels together, but they were only in Natalie's name as I paid her cash. I'm now realizing this was a huge mistake. The day Jenny left, shit went downhill fast. I became ill and have spent the last few days congested and coughing. Apparently Natalie can't stand the way it sounds when a sick person sleeps, so she continuously woke me up to tell me I was making noise all night the first night we were alone. This resulted in no sleep for either of us and awkward tension the whole next day. We barely spoke, wouldn't even sit next to each other on the trams, and generally were uncomfortable. Natalie insisted I buy medicine so she could sleep better, so I obliged and bought some cough and congestion medicine. I had a weird reaction to it and it made me super dizzy, so I told her I was going back to our hotel to sleep it off. She didn't want to come with me because it was still early evening, but decided to for whatever reason. When we got back we didn't speak at all, and she made it pretty clear she didn't want to. She continued to wake me up through the night when I would start dozing off and say things like gross. Across the continents, stop. Disgusting. So annoying. She mocked me when I would breath too heavily. This morning when I went to take a shower she texted me from the other room to tell me I should stay back today and skip the 2 attractions we bought tickets for. When I told her I didn't want to lose my money and suggested we go separate because she's clearly annoyed with me, she said, "Yeah, I don't really feel like being around your sickness all day." Tensions blew up and I told her I wanted to be alone today. We're obviously around each other too much and should take a break. She agreed and said I should try to get a different hotel when we get to our last destination. I told her maybe, with the way she'd been acting I was considering it anyway, and she replied telling me to please do and that she'd even refund me for the last night here if I got out sooner. My biggest fear coming on this trip was being alone, but I literally cannot stay with this girl for the remaining 4 days. I feel like a leper, someone she looks at as disgusting or a burden. Natalie told me she could easily tell them it's just her staying at the hotel so my name would be taken off, which made me so angry that I was shaking. I decided right then to not get totally fucked over and booked a last-minute hostel in our last destination, where I'll be staying starting tomorrow. Natalie is now saying I've ruined the trip and that she's losing money by me staying by myself. I'm fucking terrified, my family is freaking out, and I just spent the last 10 minutes crying in a foreign Burger King bathroom. I'm so desperate to go home I was looking into buying an earlier flight date, but I can't afford it. My friendship is obviously over and the rest of this trip is now going to be spent alone, with strangers, in a place where I can't speak the language. Help me stay sane and give me some tips on traveling alone. TLDR, tensions boiled over during a 2-week vacation in Europe, last-minute change of plans leaves me alone for the next 4 days. Not experienced with this at all and am really scared. Last-minute change of plans has me alone in your city for the next few days. I'm staying in a hostel and have no idea what I'm doing, wasn't planning on being alone and am a bit freaked out. So due to tensions boiling over, my traveling partner and I won't be spending our time in Copenhagen together. We've been together for the last week and a half and within the last 2 days, things got so bad that I bowed out of our hotel, got a refund, and booked a last-minute hostel room in Generator Copenhagen. Any advice? Suggestions on what to do to keep busy? Or even people in a similar boat as me? I heard there's some festivals going on, but that's about all I know. I made it! I'm here, alone, in Generator Copenhagen Hostel, shouting out to all those who offered to show me around. I posted yesterday about how scared I was to be alone in this nice city, but wasn't given much choice as my travel partner and I were simply not getting along. Well, I'm here, and I've never done anything like this before, so I'm super excited. So many of you PM'd me and commented offering to show me around, grab a beer, or just meet up and talk. I only wish I could stay a month rather than 2 nights, or I'd take you all up on meeting up. With that said, I'll be in Generator Copenhagen if anyone is wanting to hang. I don't have anything planned tomorrow past 5 p.m. Also a huge thanks to you /modern87, not sure if he'll even see this, for meeting me in Lightspline and showing me generosity. It got me out of my shit situation for a day, and for that I couldn't be more grateful. Anywho, shoot me a PM if anyone's down. I'll be here until Sunday morning. Update. For those of you who read my original a few days ago, I promised an update. For those who didn't, it's here. So shortly after posting the OP, I got quite a few Redditors contacting me via PM. I had been sitting alone in Amsterdam, silently freaking out for about 2 hours before I posted to this sub, and honestly it was the best decision I could have made. About an hour after leaving the hotel I shared with Natalie, I received a text from her asking me not to tell any of our friends back at home what happened with us, because she didn't want added drama. I hadn't spoken to any of them, but I had let my mom and sister in on what happened, and that I'd be staying by myself in a hostel for the remainder of the trip in case I got into any trouble. They were, of course, livid that I was going to be alone, but I asked them to not contact Natalie or anyone else other than me. After they'd calmed down they agreed, and I felt a ton better, ended up meeting with another Redditor from the thread, shout out to you /modern87, and he ended up showing me around some of the city. It was so relaxing and he was super fun to be around I actually almost forgot about Natalie for the day. And then Natalie sent me a picture of her and Jenny, our previous travel partner, who apparently was in the same city and wanted to meet up. Jenny never bothered to let me know that she was in our area or asked to see me, despite us 3 all being together for the first half of the 2-week trip. They were in one of Amsterdam's coffee shops, one that I'd asked Natalie to go with me to see previously before our fallout, but she was never interested in going. I didn't reply. I didn't see Natalie for the rest of the night until Jenny left, and I went back to our hotel. The next morning we were set to fly to our last destination, Copenhagen, and we had to fly together. It was awkward, especially when I had to explain to Natalie that yes, I was still splitting up from her when we got there and that it wasn't just a threat. Still, we kept it cordial so things didn't get worse than they already had. By the time we got to Copenhagen I threw her a few hundred kroners, her purse had been previously stolen and she had no money, and we went our separate ways. And it was amazing. My initial terror of 100 things going wrong faded away when I got to my hostel. I spent the evening in their bar, meeting new people, and enjoying my new freedom. I could be myself for the first time in weeks. It felt surreal. I slept peacefully with no angry Natalie interruptions, and spent the following day exploring the city on my own terms. I even got to go into the Tivoli Gardens. Thank you so much you /Docatron, if you're ever in California I'll buy you around. On my second night there I actually met with another Redditor for dinner and some beers. You're seriously awesome you /Governor, I loved sharing our stories, and I wanted to be able to see everyone who PM'd me. I appreciated every single one of you and your offers, and if I had stayed a bit longer I'd have taken you all up on meeting up. By far the best times I had in my whole vacation around Europe was spent exploring on my own, taking my time to appreciate what I wanted to and not worrying about bothering somebody else when I slept. It was fucking liberating, and I'd do it again the next chance I get. As for Natalie, we haven't spoken since we returned home. And I feel like keeping it that way. Sorry this wasn't a super juicy update, but I told people I'd update when I got back. TLDR followed through on my plans to leave Natalie and get my own hostel. Ended up meeting a few Redditors, seeing the city on my own, and having the best time I had since I got to Europe. Haven't spoken to Natalie since returning home and have no plans to. My wife has proposed a threesome with another girl. My wife Ash and I have been married for 8 years. I always knew she had bisexual interests or was at least bi-curious, but it never bothered me. In the past we visited strip clubs as well, and she too enjoyed private dances. Last week Ash told me she had been thinking for a while if maybe we could consider occasionally including another girl in our sex life. I asked her what she meant, and she brought up that her friend Claire had expressed an interest in us. I know Claire and she always seemed a quiet, unassuming woman, and I was surprised about this. My wife said that before they could have further talk about this, she wanted me to know and have my opinion. She said she thinks she would really like that, and it could spice up our bedroom. I was more concerned than anything else. I read many horror stories about threesomes gone wrong and poly relationships never working out in the end. My wife countered she doesn't want a poly relationship, just a sexual thing, and that she understands my concerns, and that if I fear it would damage our marriage, she will take it off the table without any ill feelings. She still asked me to seriously consider it because it could be something beautiful to share, and she wants me in it because she wouldn't enjoy it at all if I consented but kept out. So either both of us are in, or the thing is off. She also said we'll be extensively talking with Claire before anything happens and discuss boundaries, limits, and conditions. Ash is a very logical woman, so logical that we joke that like all engineers she doesn't live, she functions, so I am drawn to trust her on the logistic and emotional aspects of this. I brought up if she could get jealous of Claire if I did anything with her. She replied she actually fantasized about it. She also reiterated that Claire is not taking the place of any of us, she is an extra, and she knows it, like the strippers we visited. I'm leaning to trust Ash and I am considering it, but I still have lots or concerns. What should I do? Should I at least talk about this with both of them before giving a green light? TLDR wife proposed a threesome with another girl, I don't know what to do. Update. I spoke with Ash at length about her proposal and her friend Claire. I brought up some of the points you guys made, and some I was concerned about, such as, would this green light bringing other people, including men, in our relationship? Why Claire? Do I have to be concerned about the two of them having feelings I don't know about? Do I have to be concerned about Ash's feelings potentially get hurt if I do anything with Claire? I didn't put those as accusations, but as concerns on my part, which Ash replied to very exhaustively. First, it doesn't have to be Claire. She's very much into the idea and available, but she has already accounted me not wanting her and won't take it personally if that's the case. For now we have decided for me to meet up with Claire both on my own, with Ash's knowledge, to discuss things and also for me to know her better, and with my wife if things progress. About them having feelings, Ash told me that Claire is basically a seasoned unicorn. She never caught feelings for any couple and is good at distancing herself if anyone catches feelings. As for Ash, she has admitted her only feelings for Claire are that for a friend and admittedly, some sexual attraction. As for me and Claire doing things, Ash has outlined her desires as to her banging an attractive woman and her watching me banging an attractive woman. Sort of something voyeuristic, and she said she dreamed and fantasized about this for a while now, basically fantasizing about me cheating on her, but with her approval. I am still wrapping my head about all this, and she assured me if I get too uncomfortable about this we can shelve the whole thing, no question asked. She assured me that her fantasies are not worth compromising our marriage for a couple of orgasms if I'm not up to it. She says I have the last say and she'll respect it no matter what. This reassures me, and for now we are still in the considering it stage. TLDR wife and I spoke, we are still considering it. Feeling nervous about meeting the unicorn. Hey guys, me again. My wife and I spoke again and I finally agreed to meet Claire for a coffee in the next days. The catch is, my wife Ash won't be there. She doesn't want to. She told me that's because she already met with Claire one-on-one, and it's fair I do the same to make myself an idea about her without influences. I expressed my doubts that this seems like Linda setting me up for a date, and without skipping a beat Ash said that it is a date of sorts, or I can frame it as an interview. She says the point is also to see if Claire and I hit it off. Then we'll meet her together. Thoughts? How should I exactly behave here? What questions should I ask, and what are the big no-nos? I met the unicorn today. All went quite well. I was a bit nervous, but she's really friendly and laid back, was a bit flirty and made me some compliments, and that really helped in making me comfortable. She was quite direct and answered my questions without beating around the bush, and I liked she didn't try to sell the idea, rather just giving me the elements for a decision. Although she did note that most guys of the couples she played it were way too eager, and she actually appreciated my being cautious about it, and she respects if I end up saying no. We didn't discuss much details about what we'll actually do, she agreed with me it would be better to talk about this with my wife and agree on the conditions and boundaries. However, she did mention she could be the one taking the lead with us, as her experience would help in making sure neither of us feels left out and we can all have fun and be satisfied. That's the update as of now. I decided we won't go through with it. Hey guys, after reading many comments and threads, I decided that having a threesome with another woman like my wife asked is not a good idea, and I don't feel comfortable going through with it or talking anymore about it. I am considering asking my wife if we should cut off the other woman and maybe stop some activities we did before, visiting strip clubs, and perhaps consider putting some hard limits and boundaries on our sex life. I don't want to risk what we have for some bit of fun, and you guys helped me realize that. Thank you for all the advice and comments. New update. I didn't want to post anything anymore on Reddit, and this will be my last post. I didn't want to log in anymore, but I saw my story on TikTok and curiosity got the best on me. And I saw how it got reposted around. First, let me say that asking for advice on this site was a mistake. I got people making wild assumptions, making me second guess my whole relationship. I got men propositioning themselves when I made it clear we aren't interested in other men. Some creep sent me Facebook info about a certain Claire asking me if it was her. She's not. The names I put here are not the real ones, and I don't want to talk about some outright vile stuff I got in my DMs. You people suck. As for me and my wife, I didn't shut down our previous activities or put restrictions on our sex life, and I don't want to. It's stuff we have done for years. We always enjoyed it, and it makes no sense to stop it because some pearl clutchers I will never have to deal with in my life are put off by it. My wife and I have watched plenty of times other women rubbing themselves on either of us, and no jealousy came out of it. We had Claire over for dinner last Tuesday. We just talked and nothing else. And honestly, it just reinforced my view of her as straightforward and honest girl, not the vile temptress some people made her out to be. She answered every question and doubt me and Ash had right away, even the most uncomfortable and ugly. Ash too had her worries, not just me. Claire did her best to assuage our doubts and proposed that if we do go forward with her, because we could decide to pick someone else and both her and Ash are perfectly okay with it, she'll be the one taking the lead. Given her experience, she knows how to keep things balanced and not make anyone feel left out, basically tailoring the experience to make sure everyone is satisfied. We agreed to consider proceeding by baby steps and not jump straight up into the threesome. That's it. Whenever we will do it, if we will do it, how it will go will be our business alone, and this the last update I will be posting. I want to sincerely thank the, admittedly very few, people who offered genuine advice and didn't jump into wild assumptions and judgments. I won't be reading nor replying to any comment or DM.